Apparently I'm live. I did not realize we had already gotten that far. That needs to come back down. Hey guys! If you're tuning in after it started, because no one has watched it yet, I'm sorry. Are we straight now? Are we good? Hey, what's up, Cody? What's happening, everybody? Chris? Ethan? I think I should probably do this before I sharpen what I'm thinking about. Ken. Hey, Ken, I'm going to get in touch with you as soon as I get done with this. No, I'm not sick. I got really hungover. I put it in my video that I just shot. The reason I didn't do any videos or anything this weekend was base is closed for the potential of snow. What? Oh, I'm sorry. But yeah, like I said, the reason I didn't do any live feeds or any actual videos was because I had a really good friend that passed away, and it kind of put a damper on stuff. I wound up getting really sick, really drunk Friday night after I got home, and then got sick because I was so drunk. I was really drunk. That's kind of an understatement. I am getting ready to this Sebenza that I just do I like Zippo lighters? I used to when I smoked. I'm gonna take this apart and I'm gonna polish the bushings a little bit, the washers inside of it. So that is gonna happen here right now. I was thinking about it. I would just show you guys how to do this. What's up, Joshua? So what I'm gonna do is I've got to get some stuff. I'll take you guys in with me. I grab some stuff. This is a 2016. This is an actual Chris Reeves. I don't think it ever got carried much. Had a lot of pocket polish on it and snail trails. But we're gonna go grab the stuff I need to do this. Estimate when you get it put together. Thanks. That was a customer. Wants me to do some anodizing. So let me unplug you guys here. We're gonna go in there and grab the stuff I need. I really only need a couple things. I need to grab some very specific things. My daughter is. What was that? You're bored? What are you doing? Playing memory? It's a good game, even by yourself.
This is the third one.
Who won the first two? Well, that's the reason it's fun. You always get to be the one that wins. I'm working, Isabel. I wish I could help you. Why don't you watch TV or something? Just close the door. I know mommy's sleeping. You can just close the door. It's fine. You get dressed and go play outside if you want. Oh, look at me forgetting stuff. I need the alcohol. I have to clean this up before I do what I'm going to do. I don't want to get stuff. See if it's, turn it on and see where it charges. I'm sorry, guys. I have a bored child. And you guys have kids.
And board games don't help.
It is fully charged. Take your hoverboard out, put on clothes. You can go take your hoverboard out and play.
Shuffle all these cards.
Children. So, I need rubbing alcohol. We are going to polish the washers in this Sebenza and smooth it out just ever so slightly. Yeah. Shh. No one's talking to you. Quiet, monkey. So there's times I don't like to sand the washers. I did touch them the other night when I had this knife apart. I noticed there was some issues with the washers. I touched them just a little bit on some 2,000 grit sandpaper, just ever so slightly to see if it was going to make a difference. And it seemed like it did. And so what I did was I just touched them up on that, and then get you guys back in here. The construction's the same. You know, you guys keep saying that. The knives are still the same. They're still amazing. There's just some minor issues with them. So first things first, we're going to turn this around. I'm going to show you how I take apart a Sebenza, which this is a lot like the way most people do it, apparently. I thought I had come up with a new and figured out a better way to do it than the videos I'd ever seen. Apparently, my way is the same way that the guys at Chris Reeves Knives do it. So here, let me get you guys spin this around here so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm trying to get this tripod set in a fashion that we can get a good view of what I'm doing. And I'm going to do it from behind the camera, so forgive me if I bump into the tripod. So I want to just show you guys the way I take apart my Sebenza, which I imagine most of you guys have seen it. It's already set up because I've had this knife apart twice today. Yeah, it's custom paper towels. I just need something to wipe the... So if I'm not going to take the knife completely apart, this is all I do. You put your screwdriver in, you maintain tension on this, you push in on that while you're unscrewing that, and that screw should just basically come out, and just basically that pivot is out. And then to get access to your hardware, you pull that out part way, put your thumb in there, and just pull that out. Now you have everything still lined up. If I wanted to just put it right back together, I could just slide that back in the way it was. So basically all I'm going to do is clean these up real good, a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Now I did use, when I took this apart the other day, now the trick is always remember which side you're wanting to polish. Which side was touching the blade and which side is touching the titanium. Because if you don't, you're going to wind up putting them in not the way you want. You could polish both sides, but you're going to risk of taking off too much material. Pants.
I don't know. The only thing there's stuff in my pants.
Don't you have a pair of pants that you wore or something? Just move enough to get to it. Okay, whatever. Go, I'm busy. I'm doing a live feed. Hi, everybody has said hi. I do understand that I'm probably not going to be able to see a lot of the so you can see at this point it doesn't really matter so much. This side has got this side has got some of the spiral polish going on from where the knife was actually moving. So that's probably the side I'm going to do, the ones that have the lines on it. And I'm not going to use any real strong abrasive stuff. So let me see here. Who said something? Fully ionized. I hate that I bought a Chris Reeves, Anne Reeves. She's not an unattractive woman. I'm sorry, guys. Anne Reeves is not unattractive. So what I'm looking to do is just take one side of this, which is going to be this side. I'm not going to be able to see it real well because it's not going to want to focus. And I'm going to put it on this. And I'm just going to lightly put my fingers on both sides of it. And I'm going to see if I can get where I'm going on my 1/2 micron without actually taking off much material, just polishing. Sorry, it's a nice show, Anthony. Now, see how much shinier one side is? Now, let's see if I can get this to focus. Not as light. Okay, so there's the side I didn't. There's the side I did. All I'm looking for is just to polish, not trying to take off much material. Don't have to use much pressure. I recommend going in circles. I wouldn't recommend doing this at all, actually, because I'm taking a risk with a customer's knife. If something were to happen, I would be liable to repair or replace. But there is a much more polished side. Now that is the side that is going to stay against the blade. I'm going to do this one as well. And you can see that I'm starting to get a shine on my strop as well, where I'm taking off some of this copper, brass, bronze, phosphor bronze that they use. So I'm not using hardly any pressure. I'm just barely wiping that on that. And if you could see what I'm seeing, you would see that that's pretty polished compared to that side. So those are the sides that are going to touch against the blade, because that washer does not move. The blade moves across it. So what that's going to allow that is a significant amount more smoothness. So we're going to wipe this off. And we're going to put them shiny side up, so I always know which side I just did. Shiny side, this one actually needs a touch more. Isabel, do me a favor. Huh? Seriously, do me a favor. On the front seat of my car is a small box that says TW25 Bravo. And it's got some synthetic lubricant. It looks like a syringe. It's just a small box. It's on the front seat. Just B. TW20. Yeah, you can see where I've polished. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Just enough of a polish to make that smoother with less friction. So I'm going to turn this back around. I'm going to wipe everything off again. Hey, that's not straight. There we go. So we're going to see how much smoother this makes it. It usually makes it significantly smoother to do that. I mean, I can see right now that that is really well polished. That one's really well polished, and I didn't take off a lot of material to do it. That's the...
This thing in my dinner?
Let's see if my daughter was able to find what I'm looking for. Yes, ma'am. Here. So this is a synthetic grease. Now, when I was in the Navy, on board the ship, we used to use big tubs of this. What's up, Sean? Big tubs of this were used to grease the 25mm chain gun. This is a synthetic lubricant that was designed for the armament industry. It's a synthetic grease, and it works really well. I think it works better than the fluorinated grease that they recommend you use. The thing is, you have got to clean any of the old oil off before you use it, because this is a synthetic. It has zero solvent. If you mix it with a solvent-based lubricant, you're going to have problems with it. And that's why I'm making sure I've gotten all of this gunk cleaned up and wiped down real well. Now I'm going to tell you guys a secret. If, you know how everybody says tighten a Sebenza down as tight as it'll go? It is called TW25B. If you get lubricant on the screw that sits down in here, you're actually able to tighten it past where it should be, and you can actually stiffen up a Sebenza. You honestly can. I didn't think it was possible. I couldn't figure out why mine got so stiff every time I tightened it down. Figured that out. You have to make sure that you get all the lubricant off the screw before you put it back together. You don't need that much. This stuff is amazing. You don't need much of it. You can get it in these little tubes. It is expensive, I'm not gonna lie to you. It does cost, but it is one of those lubricants that's pretty much worth it. Now you can see where the washers have already rubbed on the blade side. So what you can do is just kind of use that as a cue and just put a little bit of this stuff along where your washer is. You want to put a little bit inside. I just realized it's not in. Put a little bit inside your pivot hole right there and just wipe it around. Give it just a small coat. It does not take much. And then you want to put just a little bit right on the detent track. Just a tiny little bit. That's all it takes. So now I think we've pretty much got where we needed to go with putting grease on. I am just getting grease around the entire area that the bushings, the washers are going to sit on. So the next step is put your bushing in. It is a very specific fit. Once you get it in, once you got it in there, now your next step is taking your washers and laying your washers on top of that bushing. Push the bushing through a little bit on that side. I just did the large bushing. And then the smaller bushing goes on the other side, which is the lock bar side, which allows your lock bar, I just realized there's some gunk in there I gotta get blown out of there, I'm sorry. So, now that we've grease on it all the way around, where it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't take much. I've seen people put way too much grease on a Sebenza when they're trying to put it together. Smear a little bit around. These holes that are on these washers are designed to hold the grease. Doesn't take a lot. It really doesn't. Too much on a Sebenza is actually too much. And then I just push the lock bar out. I feel and make sure I've got that lock bar, or I'm sorry, that bushing centered. And then I just push the parts all in and line up the hole. And I grab the parts, the hardware, and I play with the blade a little bit until I can push. There we go, the pivot all the way through. Now, check and make sure that you got all of the grease out of that pocket. Now, I will tell you something. I prefer to have my screws, the screws on the show scale and the actual pins that they screw into on the back side. Basically, I am treating it as an integral. Unless I'm taking it apart for some specific reason, I don't see a real need. So figure out where I put my screwdriver down. Or in this case, my Allen driver. I'm gonna tighten it down until it stops. Give it a little bit. Oh, that's a lot better. So, visually, you're not gonna see any difference from what I showed you before. But what you are gonna feel is any little bit of grit was exhibiting. And it's going to take a little bit to work the grease in. And you want to look, and you can look down and you can see that the part of the washer that is spinning, or the part that the washer is not spinning against the titanium, that's what you want to look for. And just work that grease in a little bit, and I should be able to, that should drop closed. And it's going to, as that grease works its way into, it's just going to smoother and smoother. Now I'm going to tighten it the rest of the way down, and it is definitely smoother. No, this is an extreme performance synthetic grease, but I will tell you that my nano oil is right here, and I use it. I'm going to tell you right now, if the nano grease is as good as the nano oil, I definitely would recommend that too. I like this because this does not stain. Like if you get it on your clothes, you're not staining your clothes. This TW25, you can wash it right out. You can get it all over your clothes. It washes right out. I was drinking a mug of wine. The other thing you want to be careful of is do not get any grease on the either the lock face of the blade or the lock bar face. You do not want any grease in that interface, in that lock interface. It will that's where you start getting lock stick. It allows it to over travel. So I'm able to tighten this each time this does this. I'm able to tighten it down just a little bit more. Yeah, it's smoothing out, and it will smooth out faster now that it's been polished. It has definitely lost any grit that was in there. Do you have to do it? No. Over time, a knife like this will smooth. But, you know, I just refinished it too. That's one of the things too. You do, even though I masked everything off when I bead blasted it, you do get some requiring new braking on these. So now what I have to do is I have got to sharpen this. So that, I mean, that just takes a little bit of knowing, but I do now have to refinish. If you look, I polished enough material off. That's what, if I was to be using, there was some sharp spots on those washers. I could feel them. If I was using sandpaper, I would have taken off more material than I needed to. That's a 0.5 micron. And I took off enough material with that 0.5 micron to smooth that out significantly. And it's just getting smoother each time I move it because the oils and everything are getting down into the spots where it needs to. This is a 2016. And I'll tell you something I noticed when Nico and I had it up at the shop the other day. This scale, February 2012. This scale is April. I was trying to think. They use letters. So D is April. A, B, C, D. So this one has got. So you guys know, I am going to tell you this. This knife has got the same minor misgrind on this swedge that mine does. It's not as significant. I measured it. It's almost, I have OCD. I basically have OCD when it comes to certain things. Eyeballing it, I was like, that looks different from side to side. This side is a little bit further back than the other side. Not much, tiny amount. But to say that some of the issues that Chris wasn't in the factory 24/7, even back in 2016. So knives may have left with some issues. I am going to touch up this edge. It needs a little bit of work. And I am going to sharpen that Booz blades for him. So we may stick around. We may talk about that. But I have got to, before I do this, now that that's done, I've got to do a straight razor. Which means you guys get to talk to me when I do a straight razor. So who... That's what I'm saying. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Mike, is that the nano crap? That's not the nano crap. $11B. So what was the company? What were you saying? Mill 60. It was magic day and night in the desert. PRF 6346 O Echo. Is that the Royal Lubricants CLP? So Nick, I'm asking because I think that if that was Royal Lubricants CLP V2 version 2, it did not have the original Teflon in it. It was really thin, got down in, you could wipe it right back off and still have lubricant. I think that's CLP V2 version 2 done by Royal Lubricants out of Canada, I believe. It's what we used. Yeah, it's what we used on all of our guns as well. You could put it on. It didn't get sticky and varnishy like the original CLP, and it allowed you to do it and clean it up super thin. This was also tested downrange too. It does the same thing. You put it on, you wipe it off, and it doesn't stick. The nano oil, you can put a thin coat. I put the nano oil on. As a matter of fact, I put nano oil on this, and it is smooth as shit now. It is insane smooth. The action on it, just as you racked it. Like people pick on the nano oil and call it, which fucking snake oil and shit like that. It's not. It's some good stuff. It really is, and it was designed for the weapons industry as well. But matter of fact, this stuff. All right, Anthony, that's enough out of you. I'll put you in timeout. Because I can put you in timeout. I don't need Nico to do it for me. This and I didn't put anything back on it. I cleaned it with acetone and did not put any oil back on it. And there's enough of that residual. Enough of that residual grease in this knife that it's still smooth. So I think my stones, I soaked my stones, but I do know what I forgot to do. I know what I forgot to do. I did not put any baking soda in the water. Because I have two things that need sharpened that way. Looks fine to me. So if you've never heard me talk about the reason I do that, it lowers the pH of the water and you run less of a chance of things rusting while you're sharpening them. What's it look like for everybody else? That would be the question. So this straight razor came to me from a guy. I had every intention of doing it earlier this weekend. And like I said, I had a friend, I got notified a friend passed away. His, he actually was a close enough friend that I think he was the second person other than me and my wife to hold. He was the first person other than my wife and I to hold our daughter. And he retired, he got out of the military, and he was in a car accident. Early morning. I think he passed early in the morning, Friday morning. I think the accident was actually in the evening, Saturday. So, put kind of a damper. What do we got here? What was that? Oh, sorry guys, I'm coming back. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, Cody, anytime you want to send me that. So the nice thing about this razor is it was sharpened very well before I got it. It just needed some touch-ups. I don't think it's going to take a lot of work, and it's not. It's not going to take any amount of work at all to bring us up to where it needs to be. Oh, that really hurt. That was my knee on the workbench. So, yeah, if you're doing any high carbon steel or anything that has a tendency to want to rust, always put a little bit of baking soda in your water. As a matter of fact, I have, it really hurt. It's a big workbench, it's pretty heavy. I have a Ferrum Forge knife in 4V that I'm probably going to do right after this, and see if I can keep it from rusting when I sharpen it, because 4V does have a tendency to want to turn orange and rust and get rust spots and things like that. Yeah, this is work, so he's not gonna have to pay me any extra. I just feel bad that I told him I was gonna try and do it Sunday. So you guys need to start sending me stuff. I have got an empty workbench right now. How many times? Okay, so that's a good question. I'm going to answer that one. How many times can you strop a straight razor before you have to sharpen it? It depends on the person, depends on how coarse their hair is, and it depends on how they strop. If you are allowing yourself to lift the spine up and roll that edge, it's not going to last as long. But they recommend about once every 6 months that you get your knives honed professionally. And I have had customers come and bring me a razor that they thought needed sharpened, and it truly didn't. It just needed a run on my loaded strokes. Which crap, I gotta make sure that that half micron is gonna cut the way I want it to after I loaded it with all that brass. Not a lot. I mean, just enough that you can see it's kind of a polish on it. I think this razor is just fine. Going to get very quickly getting an edge. I like the fact that there are customers who are willing to admit that they have, uh-oh, can you guys see me? I got the loading icon. I got the spiral circle of you're ready and don't have internet. Let's see. Can you guys see me? Please holler in if you can or can't. I've got some weird spiral. Okay. Well, what I'm doing is I'm just refining this edge at 5,000 grit. Hopefully it comes back up. If not, I will start this over. So we got, yep, we're ready to go to the next. It's just an old antique SD Shaw and Brothers, Wichita, Kansas. This is probably 1920s antique straight razor. That's the last information. Was I'm already at 8,000 grit. I just did some tuning on a Sebenza that you missed. I think I'm gonna have to stop this and start it over again. Stand by, guys. Let me finish this to 8,000 at least, and then we'll see. We'll see if that helps. There we go. Yeah, that is taking a huge, gorgeous edge. Is it really blurry enough that you guys think I need to restart it? Just let me know. Solid? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Never mind. Well, I'm getting a loading icon in the middle of my screen. That's why I was curious. Luckily, my stones were still flat from the last time I did a straight razor. Yeah, it looked good. I don't want to sound that I'm bragging, but I have learned a lot from Chris Williamson, and I can do a finish on a knife that looks spectacular. Let me drop this, and then I'll restart the stream. I'll do another live feed. So we are stropping at the 1 micron, and then I'm going to strop it on the 0.5 micron, which we have determined, depending on what country you're in, is right around 60,000 grit. Oh, yeah. Can I change my face?
That better? How about, huh?
Dog don't get slapped by making that. That's going to need reloaded. But it still did a gorgeous job on that. And the benchmark is... oh, yeah, it's fine. It is fine. Now, that is done. Put these stones back because I'm not using them. Those stones do not get used on what's this? What's the pink thing? It's a clothes hanger. Japan, there's not a lot of space in your house. So what you have is you have several of those. They fold up. They look like some of them look like umbrellas, only reversed. And you basically you fold it up, put it away, and then when you get ready to hang something up, you can clip everything on it. They come in really handy. Every time I do it, I chip that stone. That 5,000 grit Chaucer just chips. It's so soft. The 8,000 and 10,000, not so much. Oh, booze. Yeah, I'm glad you said something about that. Somebody mentioned booze. I'm gonna go get another mug of wine. Booze. Thought it was some Buddhist thing. No, the Buddhist thing is hanging up in the living room, in my car, and I have my bracelets and all that other stuff. So, next logical step would be for me to, as soon as I find it, well, I suppose I could sharpen this booze blades. This is... So I wish Mr. Anderson was on here because I could let him know I do not have his NTAC yet. Oh, I wanted... Of course it came from a box. Actually, my in-laws bought some really nice wine that came in a box. It's really, really good. And I'm not saying that because I just drink wine because I'm a hillbilly. No, I know. Okay, Josh Adams asked, where from Ohio am I from? Where at in Ohio? I am from a town called Fresno, which is outside of West Lafayette, which is a small town that is also close to my town of Fresno. So you have Coshocton, West Lafayette, Fresno, Ohio, 43824. And there's about fucking 130 people there. So there's not a lot of people. It's beautiful. It's the only place I can think that's more beautiful in the winter, I mean fall, would be where my dad grew up on a ridge in Bowdoin, Ohio, out near Plainfield and Cambridge. It's about 20 miles from where I grew up. But that's where I'm from. Small town called Coshocton. Country is corn. Goddamn right. Do I like it there in California more? Absolutely not. I am here because my wife likes it here. And I love my wife, so you know what? I don't have to be back home. I would love to be back home in the country. I'm not going to lie to you. However, when you love someone, you can make certain compromises in life. And, okay, I know where you're at. Drive to go to Cedar Point from where I live. Up through New London and all that up into Sandusky to get up to Cedar Point. Drive through Sun City. Spinning, loading, spinning, loading. Well, I could always stop it. Let me know if enough of you guys are having problems. There's 21 of you. If enough of you guys are having problems, I will stop and reload this. There's some issues. I told Mr. Anderson, he's like, does it need sharpening? I said, it looks like it's got some issues on this booze. And I was like, let me take a good look at it. I was like, it probably needs it. And I'm noticing the tip. When they sharpen a knife, and because I know they've done it, when you sharpen a knife on a grinder, there's some slack in that, and it allows you to hit areas and get off stuff like that. And it looks uniform, but then the second you touch to a stone that's flat, you notice it's not. Now, if things get to where I can sustain our life with what I'm doing and not have to stay in California, we're going to look at moving. It is too expensive. If I can get my customer base to where I want it, if I can get my YouTube subscribership to where I want it, if people start kicking on Patreon as well, I mean, all things together contribute to me being able to not be stuck here. I would love to go back to the country. Now, the flip side of that is we have got to find a way to be somewhere where I can continue to maintain my daughter's ice skating. She is really good. Gun reviews help my numbers. Actually, they would detract from. It's much harder to do gun reviews and have a viable YouTube channel than, I am going to do a review of this. I love this gun. I've carried it for a year now, basically all the time. It's not the ice rinks, Nicholas. It's the quality coaching that I need. That's something that definitely would impede. She needs a high-level coach. We have access to that here. I don't know if all 7 of you guys in South Dakota would have the ability to get her where she needs to go. So we have the Olympic Training Center here. I'll tell you what, guys, there's enough of y'all saying that the feed is bad. I'm going to stop and restart it. Okay, guys? So here we go. Stand by. I'll start a new one.